Hi everyone, welcome to the Cyber Posture Live session. And today we have a very interesting person with us. He's one of the kind of best friends that I have in the industry who showed his fate on Zeron. And why did he make that choice? How did it help him? We'll get to know all of that today. Today, we have with us someone who has been there in the fintech industry for a decade right now, and he has made amazing impacts on the tech part of the financial world. Please welcome Mr. Ajeesh, the co-founder and CTO of Open Financials. Ajeesh, welcome to Cyber Posture.
Thanks, Sanket. Thanks for having me here.
How are you doing?
All good, all good.
Great. And how has your journey been going after getting the PAPG from RBI?
It's good. A lot of things to adhere to right now. You have been seeing newses around, right? So, yeah. So it's been going good. Helped our business in a great way. Especially on the payment gateway and the merchant onboarding side of things. So we started onboarding new partners on board for our payment gateway business, and yes, and this has helped us a lot in terms of improving the business traction as well.
Okay. So, Ajish, before we start off and getting into the nitty gritties of it, could you just explain what Open Financials is and what is the impact that it is creating on the Indian fintech ecosystem?
Yeah. So, Sanket, just to give a background, so we started back in 2017. Me and my other co-founders were part of a company called PayU. So we were dealing with a lot of these small, medium enterprise businesses at that point of time, and we realized that there are a lot of challenges when it comes to business banking. The
Yeah.
businesses has to deal with a lot of this platforms, including accounting softwares, payroll softwares, expense management tools, and banking, which is supposed to be part of this ecosystem, is completely alien to the business ecosystem. So there seems to be a disjoint gap between banks as well as the tools which these businesses use. So we see a lot of gaps, a lot of pain points this businesses goes through when it comes to reconciling transactions, or getting a bird's eye view of what's happening in their business. So that's where the whole idea of Open started. So what we essentially did was we brought all these tools in one single platform, and banking, which was away from this ecosystem, we just brought it as the heart of this platform, right? So anything to do with collecting payments, doing payouts, the entire cash flow happens through a real bank account, right? Now, if that bank account is not part of this ecosystem, so that leads to a lot of gaps in terms of reconciliation, getting a high level insights on what the business is doing. So we brought it all together in one single platform. So in a nutshell, what we do is that we make finance, accounting, and banking easy for a business. We save a lot of time for a finance team for a business.
So, essentially, it's like the Zeron for banking, right?
Yeah,
Or
enable.
vice versa. Zeron is the open for cybersecurity kind of space, right?
Yeah,
That's
and
amazing. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and we have one more business vertical where we directly deal with the banks as well as customers. So we provide our software as a white labeled platform for some of the top private banks in India, and we basically white label it for their customers. So uh, the customers of the banks would be able to enjoy both the banking services as well as the SaaS functionalities which we give to the customers as well. So that's a second line of business which we have.
So, can you describe the process that Open took and from a cybersecurity perspective in terms of your PAPG journey?
I would say the journey for PAPG had started 6 years back, probably coincidentally, because um, the first when we launched our platform with the first bank, that's where we realized the importance of compliance and security being a fintech organization. So it took us around 1.5 years to actually go live with the first bank. One definitely because neo banking and business banking platforms were not really there in India, and we were the first ones to introduce that. So trusting such a platform for the banks also was not something which was easy for us to crack. So that's where we went live with the first bank. And then that's the time where we realized that it's not just about API integrations, or building functionalities on top of the bank's APIs, which actually matters, but the kind of security and compliance you have to follow, when you interact with the bank systems or when you deal with the bank's customers, right? So that was the first instance where we realized the importance of compliance and security. And at that point of time, I would say we were just a 10-member team, and we started our ISO 27001 audit at that point of time. Now, I've seen some of my peers who are there in the fintech organization. They introduced audits and compliance at a later stage in their journey, and we realized that how lucky at that point of time we were to actually introduce it in an early stage in our organization, because when you do the compliance and audits, you just have one person in the HR team, you have 2-3 people in the finance department, you have a 3-member engineering team, right? So implementing these policies and following some of the procedures which we had to do as part of the audits was easy. And from then on to now, it was a breeze journey for us to scale from a smaller team to a larger team, having these policies and procedures in and around the entire system. So we implemented ISO 27001 very early on in our journey, and since we had to deal with card payments and payment gateway transactions, we had completed our PCI DSS level for certification at that point of time. So I would say this all helped us in a way to actually mold ourselves to be in a way compliant with RBI's guidelines and regulations when it comes to PAPG. I would say 90% of uh, things which had been drafted in the checklist, we were compliant to that. We did had a lot of deltas which had to comply with, but during the period of time, during the audit, we ensured that we are fully compliant with the RBI PAPG guidelines, as well as we had completed the SAR audit in a very short period of time, I would say. And in fact, we were one of the first in the first batch to get the PAPG license. So the speed, we were able to attain that speed just because it was not a new thing for us, because we were following that for a very long time. And again, maybe there would have been 1 or 2 additions, but the base foundation of what we are supposed to do as a compliant organization remains the same. Sanket, I think you're on mute. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So can you like share an anecdote or a case study that highlights the impact of strong cybersecurity practices within Open's PAPG journey?
Yeah, maybe I'd put it in a different way, like how ensuring compliance and security at Open has helped us a lot in terms of one, getting the trust of the customers which you have when it comes to data security and how we handle the customer information. So one is the compliance part. Second is how do you deal with PII information of the customers? How do you ensure that they are secure in our system? The second part is how banks trust you to be a compliant partner, which is very important for us as a business, because banks technically are our backbone, because we power our banking services through this banks behind the scenes. So um, being compliant and ensuring that we have a strong security posture actually helped us gain the trust of the banks when it comes to partnering for any of the new services which we bring in the platform. Second is that, as you would be knowing, it's not really easy to deploy your software in a bank that easily unless your platform and your organization's cybersecurity posture is up to an adequate level, right? So I would say, during the journey working with multiple banks, we were able to get a lot of insights from how, even before the PAPG, even before when we got the PAPG, how banks works when it comes to compliances, right? What are the checks and balances which we should be doing as a fintech to secure the customers' data has helped us a lot, because ultimately the bank's compliance and security controls are nothing but a reflection of what RBI had drafted. So it has helped us a lot implement those checks and balances within ourselves, and is the reason why we were able to move faster when it comes to bank using our software in their landing zone. So I would say through the journey of last 6 years, ensuring compliance and ensuring that we are compliant with all the ISO 27001 checklist, as well as the bank's auditing checklist. We ensured that we get the trust of the banks when it comes to using our product for their customers. And how do you secure the data? Now if you look at it now, there is DPDP bill which had come into picture. Now how do you secure personal information, not just fintech, but be it health tech industry or be it ad tech? Any company has to now follow certain guidelines when it comes to storing customer information. How secure do you store your customer information in case of breach? How do you handle those situations? So I think working with the banks helped us a lot in terms of implementing some of the best practices in the industry. Second, this has helped us a lot in terms of the PAPG journey as well, because it was not a very difficult journey for us to get into the PAPG compliance, considering that we have been following a lot of it historically.
So I really love one thing, and that's why Ajeesh is one of the best guys in the industry that I said, right? He's very forward looking, and he thinks about the future. And it has been a 6 years journey, as you said, getting into compliance, thinking from security from your initial days, preparing for this particular thing for the last few years. What was that missing piece that you decided to onboard Zeron? What was that one thing? Like you were like, we're doing a lot of things, but I need something. So, what was the thought process behind that?
In a single word, I would say security observability was not there from a leadership perspective. Do I have a single place where I can see my security posture? That's one, right? Second, how do you, getting compliant with multiple security standards like ISO 27001, the PCI DSS, SOC 2 compliance, all of it comes with is its own overhead, which a company has to follow and ensure that whatever checks are being mentioned in the policies are being actually implemented. Now, when we initially started the journey, one of the questions which I asked to my consultant is how do I know whether all these policies are really being maintained on in a longer run, right? When we scale to a 500 600 employee company, and when we have a lot of people processes to deal with, how do you ensure that whatever is being drafted in the policies are actually being followed by the organization? That is one the second thing which was a real gap for me. And that's where Zeron has really helped us a lot. And even in our initial first discussion, I think I knew this is what I need. As a CTO, looking after the compliance and ensuring that the things are being followed in the organization. So one thing which I really liked in the platform is how it actually maps certain policies to the actual implementation, right? So you say that you have access control in place, but is it actually being followed in AWS, right? Now I can't go and ask the DevOps department every now and then, or me being the compliance officer or my infosec person can't go to each and every system heads to ensure that are you following this, are you not following this, right? So that's where the platform has helped us really a lot in terms of getting an observability of what is happening policy versus what is being implemented. Are they being tied in beautifully, or is there something missing out in the whole system? And how does the overall security posture looks like? I think that this is something which really helped us in terms of, I would say, managing the entire paper to actual practical implementation.
Okay, and one more question that I have, right? As per reports, there has been a lot of increase in the talks of cybersecurity in the boardroom nowadays, right? So, Open being India's 100th unicorn, right? What's the kind of boardroom scene? I'm not asking you to give us details, but what's the kind of discussions that you have with respect to cybersecurity in your boardroom?
I think now cybersecurity has become what do you call? I mean, maybe like 6 years down back, if you look at it, I think security was a factor in all the companies. But nowadays, when banks started exposing their infrastructure, that is where a lot of fintechs had evolved, scaled over a period of time, started interacting with banks APIs, and a lot of the KYC risk and compliance is being managed by fintech. Um, the exposure, the attack surface has increased for a financial institution like a bank now, right? So now, as an organization, Open being an organization, we work with multiple banks, and as from our perspective, how do we secure our attack surface is very important, equally for the board as well as even for the banks, right? So how do we secure the attack surface? How do we ensure that your data of your customers or even the bank's customers are safe within our system? So yes, so I mean, from a board's perspective, definitely this is one of the important aspect of how do we scale forward as a business, because cybersecurity is one of the top priorities for Open as an organization, when especially when dealing with the customers data and the bank. How do we look at improving the cybersecurity posture when you move forward? Because how VAPT and the scans works, right? Like, there are a lot of gaps. I would say there are a lot of gaps when it comes to doing the regular VAPT scans, the regular audits. I think we have to dig a little more deeper into our systems to actually realize where are the real gaps, right? We talk about app security, the top 10 OAP's top 10 vulnerabilities, and you know it always comes as a surprise that a lot of auditors, I would say, maybe some of the auditors which we had dealt with previously always used to focus on app security and not API security. Right now, we have to realize that I don't think any of the fintech products, any of the companies which build products doesn't does that without an API, right? So every product now has an API, and APIs are easy, the latest attack surface which we have in the internet. But no one is talking about API security. And there are very few tools which actually scans through the APIs and give the real insights on those ghost APIs which you have in your organization, because anyone can just pump, just develop an API and roll it out in the production, and anyone can make changes on the APIs when in a day-to-day feature release scenarios. But who is actually looking after the API security? Because while we do application security, these APIs are hidden behind, right? There are a number of, probably if you look back in our organization, there might be a number of ghost APIs which are been there, which no one is being aware of, while we have API gateways in place. But how well are we governing API security, just as an example, right? So I think some of these aspects has to be dug through. I think even the auditors, the companies who does audits on top of your systems has to actually get in a little deeper into what you do, and should ideally have the mindset of zero trust, and just exploit the system rather than just doing it for the sake of generating reports and clean reports, right? So yeah, so I think that's where the importance has to be, and we as an organization also are very very keen on ensuring that we have a zero trust environment across the organization as well as the infrastructure.
Yeah. For audience who are watching it, by the way, we have 215 attendees for this particular session, right? So, if you have any questions, feel free to put that on the comment section, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. So, having said that, Ajeesh, right? What would be your uh, top five checklist for the fintechs who are looking to get their PAPG done? Because, for a matter of fact, let me tell you, I know a lot of fintechs who applied for PAPG and could not get it. Right? I know the reasons why they could not get it, but coming from you, who has like aced it on the first go, and it's not an easy thing to get that license from PAPG. Only 5 organizations got in the whole country, right? What will be your top 5 points for them?
I would say the top five, the topmost one is, do you really need a PAPG, right? Do you provide such a service where you act as an aggregator, you act as a payment intermediary? So that depends upon whether your business model, whether you really need it, right? Why really need it? Because once you get a PAPG license, there are a lot of things which you need to follow, and a lot of things which you need to adhere to when it comes to KYC and compliance. We know how the market, we know what is happening around. So it's important that you follow that, and it can have an overhead on your organization if you are ready. Because if you are into that business, definitely you should
So
get
just a question, Ajeesh, is Open trying to capitalize on what's going on in the market?
No, not not really, but yes, I think maybe like you would get registration, more registrations in this period of time, but then ultimately, like, yes, it's very important you start following the norms and policies which are being
Yeah.
written by RBI when it comes to PAPG. So second one is when if you are into payment aggregation and payment settlements business, what you need to fundamentally have is, how do you have certain policies and procedures in place, some of those basics, right? Even when we started at that point of time, I would be very frank that we were very new to this, and we didn't had the basics of the basics, right? I would say the access control policies and things which ideally you had to follow as a fintech. This should be covered, right? This should be covered, and yeah, it can be easily achieved by there are a lot of consultants who could help us with getting the compliance done and ensuring that things are in place, right? So these are some of the things I feel that should be a prerequisite before we go into PAPG, and not just for the infrastructure, but when it comes to KYC, risk and compliance, are you compliant? Do you do fraud monitoring on your transactions? And some of the things has to be there before you even go for applying for a PAPG license.
So, Ajish, I have one question. I talk with many organizations, right, who are starting off. And they kind of prioritize. Obviously, it's an obvious reason that people still take cybersecurity as an overhead rather than business, and they're like, "पहले business बना लेते हैं, right? Let us first make business, and then we will think about cybersecurity." Someone who has like been there, done this, right? Can you share one or two use cases or case studies where there was a particular customer, right, enterprise customer that you were working with, and there was another competitor, and you kind of had an edge because of your cybersecurity standards that you had in the organization. That kind of gave you an edge, and you won that deal. I am sure that there would be a situation like that, but could you share with our audience?
Yeah, I mean, there had been, definitely being compliant has helped us a lot get that edge over, the competitors. But then at the same time, I am sure that, companies at our stage at this point of time, being in fintech, would definitely be following all the fundamentals when it comes to data security and compliance. But yes, being compliant, ensuring, data localization, following policies in place has helped us a lot in terms of getting closer to the bank. At least, not maybe I'd not put it winning the deal, because winning the deal has a lot of other factors along with security. Because business teams think about customer experiences and what value our platform can give. But at the same time, the stakeholders which we have in the banks, the security stakeholders, has had got a trust on top of our platform, when we present them with our reports, and when they do the audit. So that has really helped us a lot in terms of, I would say, act as a catalyst for our deal, I would say.
Yeah, you're talking about customer experience. We have a question from Mr. Shoham. He is asking, how does Open prioritize customer experience in its product development and service delivery?
So yeah, I think this is one thing which gets uh, into our way when we work with banks, as well as releasing products which should be part of compliance. Um, so since we had this experience of, we have had, I would say, experiences where we had released certain products and features in a couple of years back, and the partner bank had come up and told us that this is not the way it should work. Right now, you go around because you do something which improves experience for the customers, right? I'll take a simple example. Logging to our platform with just a username and password is seamless, rather than bringing in a two-factor authentication. Just a very basic example, right? Now, from a product experience perspective, okay, I would want my customer to just simply log into my platform as seamless as possible. Bringing in a two-factor authentication in between is a hurdle for the customer. But when you think differently, what if this customer's credential gets exposed and the customer has a crore in his bank account? Losing that versus the cost which you have, the friction which you bring in between is less, right? So that's the way
An amazing example. Amazing
we
example.
that's the way we think about when we release features and products. How do you balance customer experience? Would definitely be how much of cost which you have to pay if some breach happens, if something wrong happens to the customer's credentials or whatever it is, right? So that's the way, from day one of development, when we conceptualize some of the features, we always first look at the rule book. What are the things which are allowed, what are the things which are not allowed, what are the checks and balances you should have in place, what are some of the probably some of the exceptions which you could take, which can help improve customer experience. We take the opinion from our compliance team to see whether it works, and do that. And one of the other instances which have helped us a lot when it comes to prioritizing customer experiences versus the delivery would be that the experiences for us to work with the bank, right? that has helped us a lot, because there are a lot of insights which we get from there, and as well, like what not to do and what can be done, what can be actually done in the right way by bypassing certain things without compromising on security. There are some factors which can be done. So yeah.
Yeah. So next question up we have from Mr. Tash Vishwas. He's asking, what are the top three security policies that you have been able to prioritize that makes you stand out in the current fintech space?
Yeah. Yeah. So I believe that maybe I'll take it this way. Some of the top three security what do you call decisions,
Measures.
probably measures we'd have taken. Yeah. So I think one definitely would be data localization. So we ensure that none of the payment information move out of India, and that really helped us in terms of getting an edge over some of the other players. And as a fintech now, it's very important to align with the data localization policy. One of the other factors, I think, which we had ensured is that um, so the data security part of is very important when it comes to how do you secure information within the organization. That would be one, because a lot of data breaches which we see around is from your insider employees. It could be an insider attack. I'd not directly say as employees, but it could be an insider attack which would come, right? We have been seeing phishing attacks, and we have been seeing, because unknowingly employees can go and click on a link, and things can happen in the wrong direction. So we ensure that internally we have a strong because ultimately each employee has to be aware of what needs to be done, and what can be done and what cannot be done, being in a fintech organization, because people come from different industries, and we ensure that we educate them, we simulate security threats within the organization through social engineering attacks internally, which had helped us a lot to educate employees on when it comes to securing data. And without knowing what is there, if you go and click certain links, we know what is going to happen next. So some of this awareness actually helped us stay on top of this thing, because that's where most of the time we see data breaches happening within the organization.
Great. And I guess this was the last question that we would take. Nilesh is asking, according to you, what's the future of VAPT? Well, I have a very interesting answer to this, but I would love to see what Ajeesh has to say, and then we'll see either we collaborate or we debate on that.
I think maybe you could put in your thoughts, but I am not really a strong believer of VAPT. I mean, the regular VAPTs, which
Ajeesh, take a high
announce.
five on that from my side.
Yeah, strong believer of
Yeah.
VAPTs, definitely, because you find for bugs, for high critical bugs, there would be 105 other hidden bugs which would be there probably. And then there is a wrong notion probably in the industry that, okay, if you fix that 10 issues, which means that your system is compliant when it comes to penetration, which is not the case, right? So I think we need a better approach when it comes to hacking your system. I think one thing which has been maybe a traditional stuff, but which has been very effective for us, was the bug bounty programs which we have, where you have real attackers attacking your system, and that's where you realize that the VAPTs which you had been doing for ages was not really enough, because you start seeing problems which you have never seen for the last a couple of years, right? So I think that has helped us, but definitely I think there are a lot of things which have to improve when it comes to VAPT. How efficiently can it be done during the entire release pipeline? Is there a better way we could do that real time, rather than just for the reporting purposes, right? So I think that's something which we should, when it comes to VAPT, which it should evolve into. But Sanket, what is your thoughts on VAPT?
Yeah. So few days back, wrote a blog on this, right? I think in the VAPT part, the VA part is already being taken up by the attack surface management platforms, right? And because VA, you are limited with scope, and I always tell this whenever a concept of VAPT comes, it's limited by scope. You might do it for your assessments or the compliances that you need to maintain, but when a
Yeah.
hacker is going to come, they're not going to follow any rules, right? You
Yeah.
might say this is not supposed to be done, that is not, but they won't come with any rules, and it's better that we go like haywire. Like it should be like I'm here to kill it, right? So that's what attack surface does. It goes on to find everything. PT would be taken up by BAS, which is breach and attack simulations, right? So these are the two parts which would be taking over VAPT, and I guess probably a few years down the line we won't find VAPT as a thing.
True.
Right? People are already started adapting red teaming as part of their course rather than VAPT, and I guess it's towards its extinction. That's my thought
True.
on that. Well, there's a question followed up from Mr. Titash, right? So, does providing seamless experience to customer service also somehow mean you compromise on a security stringency given the updated and ever evolving standard and policies in context of not implementing MFA customer onboarding, right? So, Titash, just to answer that, I'll answer it on behalf of Ajeesh, was essentially to say the reverse of this, right? Which Ajish meant that for customer experience, a seamless thing might look at just putting the username and password, but that's not actually seamless for the long run. It's the
Yeah.
actual the reverse psychology. You need to apply the Pareto principle in this case and solve the 20% of it so that the 80% gets solved automatically. Right. So we have another question. I guess we have 5 more minutes. So we have this question from Mr. Abhishek. Building on the evolving PAPG landscape and growing security concerns, what cutting edge technologies do you see playing a crucial role in securing future PAPG transactions? Okay.
Yeah. Now, again, when it comes to PAPG, one of the actor there is the merchants whom we are trying to onboard on the platform. Again, KYC has been one of the major pointers as part of the PAPG. How well defined you accept KYC from your customers, and how do you verify them and ensure that the customers you onboard are genuine, right? You can't have probably one PAN card versus 200 other accounts. So how do you ensure that KYC the process is seamless? And I think KYC has always been a little bit of a friction when it comes to the onboarding customers, because when companies look at onboarding customers, they look at how fast they can onboard a customer and how fast they can verify, how fast they can look at verify their underlying risk when it comes to the business which we are trying to onboard. I think one would be definitely how do you look at bringing in ecosystems like DigiLocker and interacting with the central CKYC repositories and onboard customers seamlessly through a connected government ecosystem. Second would be how do you look at monitoring transactions which comes on the platform. So when we work with banks and a lot of these banks has implemented transaction monitoring right in front of their internet banking portal. Like you can't initiate transaction from same IP for a number of times, for example, right? Now I think some of those bio checks has to be brought in when it comes to transactions. How do you ensure that transactions are being originated for the right reason and not for a fraudulent activity, right? So demographic based checks has to be in place. So transaction monitoring, merchant onboarding being the important factor, because you don't onboard a fraudulent merchant. That helps take care of a lot of headaches. Once they onboard, the second step should be that how do you monitor transactions seamlessly in a way that you don't you block the wrong ones, and don't block the right ones, which is being tricky. But then there are a lot of solutions out there in the market which we could leverage in terms of ensuring and protecting those transactions.
Yes, and my closing question, Ajeesh, would be what are Open's plans for maintaining and improving its cyber risk posture in the future? And I know we're already there for that, but what's your plan for improving your posture?
Yeah, one definitely would be like how do you ensure that we have very less overhead in terms of operationally, how do you move security moving forward. And we are trying to evolve a SOC team in house, and we need tools, the right tools for the team to actually look at when it comes to monitoring and ensuring incidents, if incident happens, how immediately they respond to. So some of those areas are still a room for improvement, and we are trying to uh, be there sooner right now. And again, automation is one important factor, and definitely like I think Zeron, I can take Zeron as the best example of one of the factors which had helped us save a lot of time, managing policies, mapping it to the real systems out there. So how do you map similar automations within the security organization moving forward, which will help us move faster? Then last thing I would say, I know ChatGPT has helped us a lot in terms of writing poems and blogs, but it can help attackers more than what we would be expecting them to. So how do you look at leveraging similar what you call defense system when it comes to AI powered defense systems in your entire org? Because to safeguard from such kind of attacks, you need your systems has to be as improved as that of the attacker as well, right? So
Yeah,
AI is going to be the main thing when it comes to attacks as well as the defense.
great. And one thing I like to say, right? I've interacted with many people in the fintech space, but Ajit is someone whom I really love, I would say, with respect to the vision that he has for uh, security in terms of the empathy and the passion that he has for his customers. And it's very rare to find, to be very honest, right? And having said that, Ajeesh, we're bringing a lot of other things which you will get to know soon, right? And
Looking
on
forward,
this call
looking forward.
itself, I'll tell, yeah, I'll tell when is that date. But Ajeesh, really, really great. Thanks for taking your time and doing this session with us. Well, Ajeesh and me had been talking for last 1.5 months of getting this dates to actually get this done, and we could actually do it. And thank you once again, Ajeesh, and hope to meet you soon again in person
Sure,
and
thanks
execute the
Sanket.
plan that we were doing together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
finally.
in your top
Yeah,
floor.
yeah. Thanks
Great.
Sanket, thanks
Thank
for
you,
your time.
Ajeesh.
Yeah. Thanks
Yes,
everyone.
and yeah, on the presence of Ajeesh, I'll just announce behold yourself for the end of February because we are coming up with something where we would be releasing things from the Zeron horizon because we found there are areas where customers need few things which will enhance their cyber risk posture. There are solutions in the market, but we felt it needs a Zeron touch. And that's the reason we would be releasing few amazing technologies on the end of Feb. When, how, stay tuned on the screen. You will get to see that in the next 10 seconds. Thank you everyone for joining us and thank you Ajeesh once again. Stay tuned till the next time for the Cyber Posture Live session. Thank you everyone.